This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
My name is Monty Moore with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and I'm Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode chock full of Nashville real estate value.
Yes, and you can follow along and subscribe at thetalkmusiccity.com.
Got a question for us? Ask away at questions@talkmusiccity.com.
Welcome back, Monty.
Welcome back.
It's always good to see you.
Good to see you. And we've also got our amazing Joey Ryles with us today. And Joey, when's the last time? And I'm going to share this just for a second, okay? This is really, this still shakes me up, okay?
Thank you.
I'm showing this house. It's in Antioch. I'm showing this house and this young family, and the daughter comes up to me and says, Mr. Moore, what's this behind the blanket? And I walk into this den.
That's scary.
And I pull the blanket back. I feel so naive now. I had no idea what it was. And here's this big honking snake sitting up like this, looking at me.
Oh my goodness!
Now he's looking through glass, but at that point you don't care. I couldn't throw that blanket down quick enough. It's like, oh my gosh! We're all running to the. Everybody's kind of paused like and the wife. This is the weirdest part. The wife was at the door before anybody else got, because we're all running towards the door because we just couldn't, couldn't handle that. And so she opens, she's waiting for us. She opens the closet door. The stinking vacuum cleaner falls out on her like this. It's like a continuation of the snake movement. It's going to try to bite her. Anyhow, today we're going to talk about the importance of staging your home properly, and that doesn't include snakes the last time I checked. So
no, it does not include
Before
snakes.
we get into that, though, we're going to talk about our sponsor. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely, because we're going to be using this sponsor a lot in our conversation today.
I don't know if they take snakes or not, though.
The Music City Removal, they are wonderful. They are the #1 junk removal service in Nashville from residential, commercial, and construction. They're experts in ridding you of junk. Their costs include labor and dumping fees without any hidden or added expenses. Whether you need a full clean out or just one item removed, they have you covered.
The Music City Removal team knows the importance of respect and trust while in someone else's home. They understand the inconvenience of junk left behind by previous homeowners and tenants and are determined to provide an affordable and customer-focused junk removal service that puts you first. For a free on-site estimate, just go to musiccityremoval.com. That's musiccityremoval.com.
Yes, Music City Removal, because clutter ain't cute, and nor is that
snake was disgusting.
No.
I don't fault anybody for liking snakes as pets. I don't get it, but 'cause I like a lot of animals, but a snake in the house trying to creep me out to start with. But
so your client bought or did not buy that house?
They didn't buy that house. Imagine that.
They probably right away, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're talking about. My likes and wants and your likes and wants may not be the same, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to maybe create more of that neutral setting. What do you think?
I asked Joey to be on here because one of her gifts, besides
She's got
being
many.
an amazing
Yes.
lady, one of her gifts is about staging, and you have a degree in this topic, right?
I do. I went to school for interior design. It's one of those things that you're either born with, you just innately can do something that's really sharp and you've got an eye for it, or something you need to learn. And I needed to learn it. I wanted my home to be just really a reflection of me, but I really didn't know how to put it together.
Sure.
And I was just interested in that topic, so I did. I went to school for it. But I know a lot of people that are just so talented. That's just how they were born.
Well, as a real estate professional, I think that knowledge though is
it's so
invaluable.
important.
It is.
Invaluable.
I actually use that as one of the things I offer my clients is they do get complimentary staging with a listing.
Oh, that's
with
nice.
me.
Oh, very nice.
And a lot of times it's with their own furniture, but I do have a storage locker and I do have furniture and.
Oh, you actually keep some extra stuff.
Definitely, yeah.
I think you almost have to with your talent and really being serious about it. I think it would be helpful, but I wouldn't have a clue. I just tell people to get rid of stuff, because looking at your home, living in a home and having your home on the market are two different things is what I try to tell my clients.
Exactly.
But I don't have the skill that you do, which I wish I did, because I've seen your work and it's amazing what someone like yourself with your talent can come in and how at the same house can look so much different.
It does.
So what are you trying to do? What's your main goal Make it seem bigger? What is your ultimate goal?
Well, you do want to make the home seem more spacious, and a lot of times
I said bigger, so you said spacious. See, difference. It's all about the terminology too. I love it. That's good. I'm learning something new.
But you do want
Right.
it to look more spacious, and a lot of times people will have the big leather furniture pieces or
The clunky, yeah.
the clunky pieces, and that's fine. But you can't have it all in the same little room where you can't move around. So really, more times than not, we're taking things out of the home.
Okay.
And then replacing it with like a smaller chair or something, so that it just has a nice clean line. You have to depersonalize. The thing I always stress with my clients that are listing with me is you have one chance to make a good impression
That's right.
online.
That's right.
And if you don't have that good impression that first time out, there goes your listing really. It just... it sets the tone for your whole listing, is having that home hit the market and people look at it and go, wow, I want to see that home.
Right.
And that's what, I always like to tell my clients that so that they can, get on board with that, because it is hard to depersonalize and get your pictures down and things like that. It's their home. They love it.
Right.
And they think it looks great, and they think that the buyers will think it looks great. And they may, but the buyers are looking for something for them. So you
Correct.
really want it depersonalized and decluttered as much as possible.
So the pictures of the family up the stairwell, we want to remove.
Yes. Yeah.
The trophies in the little girl's room,
Actually,
or in the husband's room.
or in the husband's room. Depending on, I don't know about all those deer heads. I'm going to get those off.
Yeah, so
right.
let's talk about this for a second. Not to pick on anybody in the room, okay?
Yeah.
But, do you mind going down that road as far as what do you do? I mean, we are in Tennessee.
Right.
And no offense to anybody who's a hunter whatsoever. I used to be a hunter until I had to rescue this baby squirrel, and ever since then I haven't been able to kill anything. But another story. But when you walk into a house, a beautiful home like Carey Ann's, and all of a sudden there is not just Bambi's daddy, but what are their names? Rudolph and
I've
Donner
named them
and
all.
Blitzer
Dancer,
and-
Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen. Yeah. However,
This is real. I'm saying it's real. I mean, most people would be happy if they got into that kind of thing, but happy with a deer antler chandelier, okay? She's got one of those too. And then everybody else that didn't make the chandelier is on the wall.
Sure, but I feel like the house.
No, but
is
let
the
her answer.
Okay, you tell me the story as I defend
My point
12 pack.
Bugs.
What would you do? I'm not talking about hers, because hers really is tastefully done. It's pretty amazing. Okay?
I couldn't
really
imagine
is.
it not being
It's
tastefully
incredible.
done.
It's
I'm sure.
incredible. What would you do, though? I'll never forget. I mean, on that topic, I'll never forget. I'm asking you a question. Then I had a house in Mount Juliet that was, the guy just was a major hunter, okay? A major hunter.
Very good. Hey, it works quite well during the holiday season, I swear. I put a red nose on one, we're good.
That's right. That's right. So the guy's a major hunter. In his own room, you mentioned Guy's room, he had it had to have been 7 or 8 foot grizzly bear, stuffed like this. Like this.
Oh my goodness.
And seriously, and a pistol, this giant 50 caliber, he'd shot it with a pistol. Can you imagine getting close enough to a stinking bear that's so big it could eat you? And he's got a pistol. I mean, I get being proud of that. He was really proud of that. Plus the other 9,000 animals on the walls. But I said, you gotta tone that down. So tell us a better way of doing that than me.
Yeah,
because I'm obviously not good at words.
That definitely you would want to get a storage locker or move it to the next place, the next home, because it doesn't appeal to the masses. Okay. And you want as many people looking at your home, as many eyes on it as possible. Someone can see that bear in that room and be totally turned off, but it may appeal to one person.
Right.
But your numbers, they're just not with you.
Sure. And actually I saw the antler chandelier initially. That's what I saw. That's what got me to go to that house. And so it was the perfect fit for me.
Right.
But other people may not have appreciated, that. So even taking the antler chandelier down, because that's not going with the house next time when we sell, that would probably be ideal, right? Strip it so it's neutral, so you could do either or.
Right.
You could go down the lodge feel, or you could go into more, of a restoration hardware type of
Exactly.
home.
And if you want to take that with you, the best thing to do is to take it down, because certainly you're going to get somebody who comes in who wants it.
Yeah, so go over
you know
that,
what I mean?
because that was the other thing too. Anything that is hanging stays, or you have to ask, or attached, or how does that work?
Well, attached. So draperies all stay now. Blinds, anything attached to the walls stays. You cannot take off your TV mounting. The TV can come, but the mounting remains with the home. So if it's attached to the wall, it stays. And that's something to go over in
So
the
chandeliers
listing.
stay, or you have to ask for the chandelier?
No, chandeliers stay unless you specifically say, I'm taking the chandelier.
Oh, really? Okay,
So,
good.
and I recommend in that case, if someone wants that chandelier, go ahead and replace it.
Replace it
Automatically.
ahead of time.
Replace it,
Right.
get it packed up.
Don't worry about the battle back and forth.
Otherwise, you'll find that one
Exactly.
person who wants that dear chandelier.
That
Yeah.
chandelier.
No.
Yes.
You ever see that movie Moving with Richard Pryor back in the 80s?
No.
Where basically he bought the house and it's their dream house, and the guy who's selling us keeps on telling him, he's like, well, we're taking it with us. I'm just kidding. But some of the things he says, he's not kidding, like the pool. And he takes the pool with him.
Oh, too funny.
It's hilarious.
Too
Great
funny.
movie.
I have
Check
to
it out.
watch that movie.
Yeah, it's called Moving.
So, another lady that I know who's a stager, she did speak about depersonalization, and she said, take all eyes off. Anything with eyes, remove them from the walls, So that's a little easy thought process, just to think through
No,
that.
could you just put maybe blindfolds on?
Yeah, bandanas. So let's talk about paint. Back in the day when red walls were cool. Remember that
Yes.
cranberry wine in the dining room, that kind of thing. And or now it's so gray or white, the coloring is a little muted. What do you suggest?
It is really always better to go neutral. And if you can't go neutral, then you need to play up the color. I had a home recently that I listed, and it had bright blue and bright green walls, 2 blue, 2 green in the same room. So we made it the playroom for the kids, little teepee in there. The bed had blue
But
and green.
it wasn't the kid room initially.
No, it wasn't. It was just, I don't know what they used it for.
So you use your creativity to flip it to make it seem more. I gotcha. Okay.
If the client is not willing to paint, because sometimes they don't want to spend the money or they can't spend the money.
So last year I enjoyed a bus tour every month and went and saw different houses around Middle Tennessee. And we got to a house in Murfreesboro, and I'm going to call it the teal house because literally every room had teal in it, from a pop of color here to the couch there to the rug there to the kitchen cabinet there, everything. It was just so much teal, to a point where it was more of a comedy. For the average Joe, all I saw was teal. Somebody that has the perfect eye, that can see the bones of the house, that can see the vision of what they can do with it. Not many people have that, right? So
Right.
you have to really strip it down and create that blank canvas for them.
It has to be the blank canvas, yeah. So,
Do you have
and
a specific color you like to paint walls? Is there like a
Well,
magic color?
Not particularly. It's just something neutral that goes. You're basically looking at what they've got on the floor, the cabinets. What's going to look nice in there? Is it going to be like a real sandy, soft color, or an off-white, or something like that? But gray is huge now. And some of it's pretty, so you can get some that's tinted in there too. So, but people, the sellers, the most difficult part is through the process of getting the sellers to accept that in a nice way. Do you know what I mean? That they need to be depersonalizing. I literally had one lady started crying because she had all kinds of things on top of her cabinet, silk plants and
Oh, sure.
all this stuff coming out, and a little red stuffed bird peeking out of and I'm going, we really need to take all of this down. And she literally started crying.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
You big
connected.
meanie.
I know, and I was just like,
So how do you,
sorry,
for the folks
it's
listening
not-
out there, what's your script for that? Because, you're trying to maximize their dollar. You're trying to get
Right.
them the best price, right? So
Right.
how do you handle the crying seller to be?
And it's not that, and how I handled in the necklace, it's not that I don't like it. It's not that I don't think it looks nice. What I'm thinking of is who's going to be buying your home. And you need to appeal to as many people as possible. And your pictures need to be fabulous. So,
Right.
and that's okay to take that all to your next home. If that's what you like, you take that with you. That's you. Take it. But it's hard to sell a home when it's and the other thing that I think is really important is your curb appeal. To get that exterior picture, you really have to have the front door looking great.
Now, what color? This is a good topic. I like this topic. What color should the front door be?
I like color on a front door.
You do?
So if it's not like a real pretty wood varnish door, if they can paint it the pop of yellow, pop of red, the teal color, you see that a lot.
So you like the yellow. I spoke to another lady who said 86 the yellow.
86 the yellow? Yeah.
So
any color that's going to look nice with that home, depending on if they're brick, siding, whatever, it needs to go with the rest of the home. So it all coordinates nicely. But I've seen bright yellow doors that are great.
Oh, yeah. And maybe because it's just the door, right? And then it's just that little pop. There's somebody that lives nearby that has the shutters yellow, the door yellow, the chairs yellow, the cushions yellow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of yellow going on there.
Right.
That might be a little too much.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you handle somebody like that who you approach and it is very vibrant?
Well, it depends on how it looks. If they've got their home fixed up and you come up to it, oh, wow, this place looks really sharp. It doesn't need much work at all. Then I just roll with it. You may take a few things out of there or put it away.
Right.
But I'll just roll with it. Especially in pictures, it'll pop.
Do you get plants for containers for the front? Like, do you put plants and set it up that way? Flowers? You mow the lawn? Do we pick the weeds? What do we do?
Well, on the blue and green room home, yes, I got 3 pots with plants, put them out in front. And since my client wasn't doing the lawn, I was doing the lawn or having it done.
Really?
And because it needed to shine. I mean, when I'm representing someone, I want their home to go for the maximum amount of money they can get for it. And the curb appeal and staging is huge in doing that.
Or depending on the price point, right? So in the neighborhood we live in, the price points are a little higher. And I saw the front lawn of one that was trying to sell. And I'm like, how do you even expect as the seller to even get the price you want for your front lawn to look like it's never been maintained or never taken
front
care
yard
of?
is a reflection of what's going on inside.
So they turfed. So they got turf, but they did the backyard, not the front yard. So I can only imagine what the backyard looked like if they chose not to even spend the money on the front yard. But little things like that can definitely boost the price or create more demand.
I think a lot of it depends on the price point. We have such a hot market in certain price points that the market is more forgiving. But when it gets to a certain level, it's expected.
Right.
Especially when you have so much new construction that they're comparing it with. If you're 600 plus, you better have something really special. If it's any length of, if it's older, it better be something really special. Super lot or an updated kitchen and so forth. But if it's if you're competing with something brand new around the corner, it makes it a lot tougher.
So let's talk about the carpet in the master. You see all these shows, is it one where you leave the carpet in the master or you talk to them about hardwooding that one section and getting a rug? What is that depending upon the price point too?
Yeah, I leave the carpet alone as long as it's not ugly or something,
Most people aren't going to change out their
they're
carpet
not.
or their flooring to sell. They may give a design allowance or something like that. I have one coming up that should go live the 30th, and the hardwood floors are seriously damaged. Not whole type damage, but they have stains on them.
Sure.
So we're bringing in area rugs for pictures and all of that. But my client knows that she's having those hardwoods stripped and sanded and stained for the new owners.
Wow.
She just said, I want the house to be empty before I do that.
Sure.
But we can't show it like that. I don't want the pictures to show
Sure.
a great big huge black spot in the middle of the living room, so we'll bring in area rugs and things like that for the pictures and the first look open house as well, because you want it to look like the pictures. But because of her animals, I don't want to leave that stuff there, so we'll get it in there, we'll take it out, we'll bring it back for the open house.
Oh, you do that.
So it can be pretty time consuming, but I'm willing to do it because I love the business and I'm grateful for this client.
Sure, absolutely. That's amazing that you do that, because I was curious if you rent it back for them for a period of time and what if they damaged it, but every time you take the furniture in and out?
Yes.
The different accessories?
If it's my furniture.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So if you had an open house and you wanted to wow all the buyers coming through, you would go early, stage it, pretty it up.
Well, I would do it for the pictures.
Okay.
And then make sure it matched the pictures. And typically you would leave it there because you're, going to have the open house a week or so later. So you're going to leave it there. But it just depends on what created the problem and is that still there? And do I want those area rugs ruined? So
let's talk about, staging with dogs and cats.
Mm-hmm.
I now have a puppy, so he's so
He's
fun.
such a good-looking puppy.
Oh, he's so sweet, Labradoodle. However, I do believe that when you're a dog owner, a pet owner, you don't smell any pet.
Right.
There's no smell ever, right? However, the average Joe coming in your home may potentially smell that, and some you can definitely smell, for this or that. So explain, kind of go into more detail about how you handle walking into a home and there's that smell.
That odor smell. Yes. Well, you can get the carpets cleaned, and that's what we did in a different situation recently. They clean their carpets, and they can treat for the pet odor. But on the day of the open house, we also had the apple cider with the oranges going and cinnamon sticks, and the house was smelling wonderful.
Ooh, write that down. Apple cider, cinnamon sticks.
Oranges.
Cloves. Okay, love it.
Just keep that going on a slow simmer. On
there you go.
And everybody said, "Oh, it smells like apple pie in here."
Oh, wow.
And which was great because you usually walk in and it would really smell like dog.
Sure.
So.
But my dog doesn't smell.
Yeah.
no dog smells, right? Like yours
Right,
either.
right.
Yeah, you don't know.
No, and I can go into homes that don't have dogs and you don't smell anything, or that do have dogs and you don't smell anything.
Sure.
But it just depends on the animal.
Right.
But we do have a responsibility to be honest in that situation, as hard as it might be.
Yeah.
Because if you walk in, and that's part of, I think, our expertise is we're coming in with a new nose, and a new look. Is this something that's appealing? And that smell, a lot of times, it might be other things. It could be smoking. It could be
smoking.
A lot of different
things. Oh my
things,
goodness, the smoking too.
I mean, that one we just sold together.
Right.
Mothballs.
Yes,
Mothballs.
mothballs. The home smelled of mothballs because they put them in the attic.
Yeah.
Oh, so it all came down. Oh.
And it stains everything, kind of, makes everything smell like mothballs.
Right.
So that's not a fun smell.
That's not a fun smell at all.
So when you say you're honest and you share, so you put that on the Tennessee Report or something that they had dogs?
I don't think you have to, disclose that. It's usually pretty
It's
obvious.
Obvious.
Yeah.
I
I usually say, like when you're first going in the home, I'll say, "You do have a dog, don't you? I'm smelling like maybe a dog, but what is that I'm smelling?" So they know right away. But I'm
like you're a
friendly, I'm
psychic.
smiling. Yes, yeah.
Feeling a dog.
I'm feeling a dog in here. Do you have animals?
What's his name, Charlie?
But you're taking a very positive, kind approach with it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
To say, so your dog stinks.
Your
So
dog
let's
stinks.
get to the point.
We need, so that you do have to have uncomfortable conversations with people sometimes, but they don't have to be uncomfortable if they can see your heart is really, I want to help you sell this house. Now, if you want to discount it, let's not do anything.
Okay.
But
That's
most
good to
people
know.
don't want to discount it.
Right.
Once you start talking about that.
Isn't it a seller's market? Aren't you going to get me the most
It's
for my
going to
house?
sell for more than it should anyhow. But
Isn't that what the people say now?
Yeah.
They're like,
Right.
you're going to get me 10 offers tomorrow, aren't you? Type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about maybe a pool or a above ground pool. Like, how do you handle the backyard from a staging standpoint? So it's a closed pool. Do you have them, open it, maintain it closed? Do I want to see what's inside the pool? That kind of stuff.
That's a great question,
Yeah.
this time of year going into the wintertime, because a pool, as we all know, is either it's a benefit or it's a liability, depending on who's looking at it. And to sell the sizzle, I have actually had people take those covers off in the wintertime and get it rejuvenated so that it would at least look like it's a beautiful thing, and they can see it that way.
Right.
It's not covered up. What's your take on that?
I feel the same way in the hot tubs too. Always in the pictures have the hot tub lit
Going.
up, have it going, that type of thing. Yeah.
That's good.
Unless you have a pool like yours where you can heat up the whole pool and have it
Oh my
steam.
gosh. Well, that was because there was no Florida trip scheduled. So I spent the Florida money on heating the pool.
Nice.
So, but she had a lot of fun in it for sure.
It looked like it.
So that's good. So the pool and let's talk about the garage. So, people call them junk containers, hoarding rooms.
Right.
Like, how do we handle a garage?
Men absolutely love their garages. So it's really interesting to see. A man will always want to see what the garage looks like, always go in. And I've seen some beautiful garages and then other garages that are just so full of junk. They can't even use them for the cars because they're using, I should say junk, they're using them for storage, or they think they might use this someday, or the grandkids come over, so they have the big plastic toys. And so it just, if you're going to store anything anywhere, I would put it in the garage getting ready for selling your home. Go ahead and try to make it as neat as possible, but if they need to store it somewhere, I always say the garage.
I do too.
So that the home is, even with big pieces of furniture, you can put it in the garage, and you just tell the photographer, don't shoot the interior of the garage.
Right.
But if it's really nice, and they have epoxy floor and cabinets that are coming with, then you want to shoot
That's
the
another
garage.
story. If it doesn't complement the house, I don't include the pictures.
Exactly.
But I also tell people, look, if your garage is a mess, but that's, it just make it look more intentional.
Exactly.
Stack things up, make them look, because
Right.
it can work against the buyer's mind that, oh my God, they got so much stuff in this thing, they'll never be able to move. It doesn't work for them.
Right.
At the same time, I don't think a garage has to be perfect. I always tell my clients, you make it look too neat, and the buyers are going to feel like they need to go home and straighten up the garage. Our guys just want to know, okay, I get 2 cars in here or 3 cars or whatever the situation is. So I don't play it real hard. I do encourage people to make it look intentional, so it's just not just a heaping mess.
Exactly.
Well, that's kind of where I was headed. So let's say I want a garage for my car. Do you want to leave your car in the garage so it shows that it fits this particular car, but then you got the bikes over here and then the car, but then can I really put 2 cars in with some bikes, Or is it garage type of thing?
Well, I think there's nothing wrong with putting, especially if you have a special garage and a super deep one or something like that, to put a big car in there so you can see it, or a truck. But I don't normally recommend, putting it for that reason to put it in there, because you want the garage like you want the house looking as big as possible.
What are some other little things that folks can do to stage if they've never staged? Sometimes people are out there that they just started selling real estate, and they have heard of staging and they know to, de-personalize and things like that. What are any other quick little tips you can share?
Oh my goodness.
One little simple one, while Joey's thinking, one little simple one is on hallways, take the pictures down on hallways, because when you have a row of pictures, it just narrowed that hallway. Okay. Especially when you get into an older house where folks have been there forever and they've got all this whole line of photos, just take them all down. And that's when they might do some crying, that kind of thing. I think the main thing is, again, go back to that statement. Look, living in a home and having your home on the market are 2 totally different worlds. And the sooner that we adapt to the world that we don't live here right now, we live here, but we don't really live here right now. And so it kind of helps soften it's just temporary. But the sooner we adapt to that reality, the shorter the term's going to be. The more we fight it, the more we resist it, the more we believe that, people are just going to have to understand because we're busy, the longer that term's going to be. And the less likely we're going to get that maximum dollar. Because remember, we have a window. And that window is probably only, I don't know, Joey, what do you think it is? 10 days, 15 days maybe at the most? It's a small window, because the longer that home sits in the market, you can almost guarantee they're going to have less and less interest, or at least less and less fear of loss. Because remember, we're always trying to create that fear of loss. That's why I love it when you go in and do all that preparation first, because that initial first week is so critical. Somebody looking at a home that's only been on the market, 4 or 5 or 7 days, is a total different attitude than a home that's been on the market for 37 days. A total different mindset.
Exactly.
And I think too, my mom sold her house up in New England after 35 years, right?
Wow.
And so, I mean, going back to, Music City removal, I think we had 3 or 4 dumpsters. I mean, she had, handmade costumes for all 4 of us, every year for so many years. And we had a major basement. So it was tons and tons of stuff. So taking advantage of, the removal companies that are out there, and really start to declutter, like you said, right?
Right.
Get rid of all that stuff you never really wanted to have.
Exactly. And it's painful for some people. I recently had a client who had 2 dumpsters removed. It took us 2.5 months to get her home ready
Oh, wow.
to list. But it went for $15K over asking, and it looked great online. It was worth the work.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
I would say really quick tips, keeping your home clean. The mirrors in the bathroom, make sure things are clean. I would get new towels. I'd have them, rolled up, displayed, kind of walk them through some staging, some pictures in a magazine or even online.
Sure.
Just so it looks deliberate. It looks like I'm having people come in to see my home. You can easily stage the kitchen, have the table set up nicely. Those are just small things, but they make a big difference.
Love that. Jim, you shared at the beginning of the show before we aired one little tip, and I thought was great. Maybe we can share about, if you're a listing agent out there and you have your listing sign, to think about, daytime and nighttime, going the extra step and getting those solar panel lights that you can have out there to shine up on your sign.
Right.
Because, people drive around, soon enough, right? The time's going to turn and it's going to be dark at 4, which is the hardest time of the year, right? So
It's a
you want
really
to
inexpensive
maximize.
way to put a spotlight on that listing in a neighborhood. Nobody else is probably doing it.
But that right there is a wow, right when you're driving up, because some of us are going to see that property
Yeah, it's
right
gonna be
after
dark.
work,
Yeah,
right?
it's gonna
So
be
to
dark.
drive up to see that wow pop before you even, move in, and or maybe go the extra step and light up the front entrance if it's not already lit up, right? That might be another nice little gesture.
Right.
Great. Well, always so good to have you, Joey. Thank you
thank
again for
you.
joining us for another
Thank
week.
you.
It's such a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Joey.
Monty, always good to see you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for another week of the Talk of Music City. Come back next week. You've been listening to the Talk of Music City Real Estate.